Welcome to the Cosmic Echoes. Good morning, Sue.
Good morning.
Lovely to see you, as always. How are you this morning?
Well, I'm really good actually. I was at a singing camp at the weekend, and
Oh,
that was
yeah.
it was lovely down in
Yeah.
in in Devon. Then it got incredibly cold, so
Mm.
I got shivery. But I mean, it's just being out in my camper van with very
Amazing.
nice people doing something that I thoroughly enjoy in a group.
Yeah, that's amazing. There
Yeah.
is something to be said for that, isn't it? Outside with a group of people with a expressive kind of,
Yeah.
in an
And
expressive
cooked
space.
around the campfire together. So we
Yeah.
all had that's where we cooked on the campfire. And people were so creative
Yeah.
almost that way. Because you have to be when you're in the middle of a field, and
Exactly.
there isn't electricity and you have to
Yeah.
walk, to get the water and the loser, goodness knows how far away. It was absolutely great. So I feel invigorated.
That's amazing. And I mean, it kind of was with the new moon in Gemini, so you
Yes.
had it all coming.
Well, and what was so interesting about the new moon in Gemini, it was conjunct its own ruler, which is Mercury.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Gemini personified, actually. So
Yeah.
I think what I would say to anyone, and because new moons are about new beginnings,
Mm.
is it's such a good time to do a mental clear out.
Yeah.
Check in what mental patterns and have controlling my mind or
Mm.
controlling my heart that really don't serve me anymore, and find a way to break out of those patterns, because it's time for new ways of thinking. Gemini thinking, new
Yeah.
ways of learning. Maybe you can go and learn something about psychology or your mind, or whatever it is for you. But
Yeah.
it's such a strong call to think differently.
Yeah. Yeah. And the sun is conjuncting Mercury as well tomorrow, I think.
Yes,
It's the
absolutely.
moon and the sun and
Yeah,
Mercury, which is Gemini's
all
ruler. So
happening.
yeah.
Just remember, it's the mind. That's what needs
Mm.
attention. That's what need clearing. Become aware of your schema, your belief systems. It's
Mm.
really hard to do that because they're your belief systems. But are
Yeah.
they really working for you?
Yeah.
Are you how you think about yourself? Is it
Mm.
okay to keep beating yourself up? No, it's not.
No. No.
So it's about finding a way to let the light in, or the sunlight in, the sun
Yeah.
in, and maybe soften those feelings up. But if you're really stuck in loops, thinking
Mm.
loops, I'm crap, I'm crap, I'm crap, in whatever way that is, or he's crap,
Mm.
he's crap, he's crap, in whatever way that's playing out, or she, or the
Yeah.
dog, whatever. Do find somebody to help you break out of those patterns, because thought patterns are very, very powerful.
Mm.
How
And
you
belief
think is
systems.
what you manifest in your life. There's no
Yeah.
question about that
Yeah.
from my end. Yeah,
Yeah. And belief systems. I mean, Saturn also moved into Aries on Saturday, I think,
it
or
did.
around there.
It did.
Tell me a little bit, because there's also a connection there, isn't that? Saturn being the parent, being the father time, Aries being fiery. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
yeah.
well, I choose to think of Saturn as the wisdom
Mm.
threshold keeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you if people, a lot of people go, oh, Saturn is, Saturn is the taskmaster. He's like, I call him like the benevolent headmaster that's very stern, but he's got you, and he's got your best interests at heart. So
Yeah.
he's got that vibe to him. And if you willingly open up to what Saturn is showing you, then
Mm.
actually you can really take major steps forward. And Saturn invites us to grow up, take responsibility for ourselves. And I think there's going to be a lot of that going on because of being in Aries. Aries is a go-getty, fire, impetuous, I'm out there, I don't care, I want to be first. I'm the pioneer. They don't make great leaders. But with Saturn in Aries,
That's true.
that's an interesting one because maybe Saturn will just slow down that impetuous, I want to be first vibe of Aries. And
Mm.
then it's holding hands with lovely Neptune, which is
Yeah, which is
visionary. So
yeah.
I think I've said this before. I think this is going to be for the next 3 years when well actually Saturn goes back into Pisces anyway, just at the end of the year, just for a couple of months, just dips back in again and then comes back out again. But from next year on, early next year on, it's for the next 2.5 years to 3 years. It will be in Aries. So
Yeah.
I think we're going to find teachers
Mm.
coming up to be very vocal, but not pie in the sky
Mm.
piece stuff. I think it's going to be quite hard learning, but really necessary. And we need wisdom voices,
Mm.
really wise.
Which are responsible voices. They're
Yes,
not the
yes,
ones teaching necessarily. They are facilitating connection to self, to
yes.
wisdom within. Yeah.
And also to the collective, because don't forget, our experience is all against the backdrop of the collective. So this is a
Mm.
collective shift, but we're also feeling it very personally in our everyday life, because obviously wherever Saturn is in Aries in your chart, where it's shifted into Aries, that will be highlighted. There will be a frisson of energy going on for you wherever that is in your chart.
Yeah.
It's personal as well. It's personal and collective. We
Yeah.
must remember that sense of the collective. Yeah.
And I'm still trying to figure out the words for this feeling that I'm, or this experience that I'm having with
Yeah.
um the truth coming from the wrong mouths almost, and then we don't want to believe it. So it's kind of a,
What do you mean by that?
so if someone that we don't respect is telling us something that is truthful, we don't want to believe it.
That's so
Um,
true.
yeah, and I'm kind of trying to find the words around how to make my feeling of this clear because I'm seeing it so much. It's like in these days, all these conspiracy theorists, what I'm being one of them, all these things are now suddenly not conspiracy theories anymore. The UK is saying they want to block out the sun, which is like, oh really? Do we really need, you know what I mean? But these
Yeah.
things have been said before and we didn't believe them because who said them? So I think this is still happening a lot, especially coming from our favorite man over the other side of the ocean. um, there's a lot that we don't want to hear. Yeah, I don't know how to put it into words.
You know what? I've just read Siddhartha by
Oh, yes.
S.
Did it last month. I just read it as well. It's
Oh
beautiful.
gosh. Okay. And it's just so utterly helpful to get the bigger picture of what consciousness, human consciousness, is
Mm.
about. And everyone is playing their part, however destructive that we may interpret that to be. Everyone
Yeah.
has a part to play in how human consciousness, um, uh, or the flow of human consciousness, manifests.
And even the cycle, even with
Exactly.
Siddhartha, he did all these roles and he came
Did,
back to
did. And he got
the river.
and he got the plot. He
Yeah.
really did get the plot. And I think there's another very interesting book called Finders, and it's
Mm.
written by Jeffrey somebody. I can't
Okay.
remember his name. And he's done a huge amount of research into what makes people happy. And
Mm.
I mean, you have to sort of plow through the book a bit, to be honest with you, and
Yeah.
whatever. But it's so easy. People who are content with who they are have stopped searching.
Mm.
Found it. And that's what happened to Siddhartha.
Yeah.
He, after a lifetime of seeking, of sending himself crazy, he
Mm.
suddenly understood the power of just being. And that's a huge journey into yourself and a huge journey out of the madness that
Yeah.
we live in, because it's all about you got to do, you got to do, you got to seek, do
Mm.
this workshop, do that workshop, do any workshop, sell you this, and you'll find out who you are. Well, the only way you do that is actually by sitting quietly and being
Mm.
yourself, with all the
Mm.
monsters that will come up
Yeah.
to challenge you within that. But that's what we're here to do. This is what I
Okay.
believe.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I mean, even in Siddhartha, when his son left him, he only realized so much in that space of,
Yeah.
everything kind of pulled together for him, and he could see the merging of all these things within the river and the wisdom that came with that.
Yeah. And
Um,
I think um I've just been doing a lot of work recently on the pain of being the child of the parent, but
mm,
also understanding the pain of the parent of the child, because there's pain involved in both ways,
mm,
because the parent wants the child to be this way and that's
mm,
painful when they're not, and the child wants the parent to be this way, and it's very painful. So I've just been doing a lot of clearing with my ancestral lines
yeah.
about the pain between the parent child and the pain between the child parent,
Mm,
and I found that incredibly releasing. And
yeah.
I didn't realize I was sitting on so much angst.
Yeah, and a lot of us are, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
There's so much power in healing those ancestral lines,
yeah,
um,
yes.
for our children and our parents.
And
It,
we live in a society that doesn't respect that doesn't
yeah,
respect the ancestry. And
mm,
actually, if we think about our life, what are we preparing for? We're preparing to become ancestors.
yeah, yeah,
That's the truth.
yeah,
And however you want to look at it from there, but that is what's happening,
mm,
that's what we will become. We will become
yeah,
ancestors. Do we want to be positive ancestors or
yeah.
anxiety ridden ancestors? Well, I know what I
Well,
want to
I
be.
know. Me too. Yeah, I'd rather be the supportive one,
Me
holding the
too.
hand afterwards.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I think another book that I've just read recently, I've been doing a lot of reading recently. I've just read Christian Murty as well, his last book about his relationship with death and dying, which I found
Oh, wow.
really interesting, because I didn't realize he was really he held a lot of fear around death. And
Yeah.
it's very interesting to read a spiritual master writing about that. I found that absolutely brilliant. And also Testimony of Light by
Yeah.
Helen Greaves, which
Yeah.
is a beautiful book. She and a nun were great friends.
Mm,
The nun died, and the nun said, "I will, if I can, I will come and I'll come and tell you what it's like." And the book is about that, and I just find the book is full of light. I don't know whether it's true or not, but my
yeah.
goodness me, it resonates with me, and it lifts me up, and it makes me look or consider the how where we might go
Mm,
after we've shed our physical body. And
yeah.
yeah, it confirms a lot of what I experienced when I was doing the end of life research as a that
Yeah.
research study. Yeah, that
Yeah.
consciousness absolutely continues in
Uh,
some form after
yeah.
death.
Yeah,
Mm.
and wouldn't it be, to be open to that is the only way that we can connect to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, which is why we need to go on to the full moon in which is beautiful
Sagittarius.
because it's in
I
Sagittarius,
know it's
which is all about learning
yeah,
and belief systems and enthusiasm and discern, bringing all the facts in and
yeah,
getting that arrow, that bow and arrow out. Bing,
yeah,
what do I want to really learn about? So it's
yeah,
got that beautiful energy of the bigger picture.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's a very mutable sign. So the full moon is the moon is ruled by Jupiter, and of course the sun being in Gemini is ruled
Yeah.
by Mercury. So
Yeah. And they're the opposite sides of the,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely. So it's all about learning. So if you're being drawn to learn more, and this sort of goes against actually what I've just said, but if it's helping you to find,
Yeah.
God bless you on your journey, but this is the time to do it. I always think of Sagittarius as the cosmic gypsy.
Yeah, you said that one day,
Yeah,
and
I
my
always
son
think
is in
that. But
Sagittarius, so
it's the philosopher. It can be the preacher.
yeah. Yeah.
Different from being a teacher, but it's
Yeah.
also it's faith and truth and what
Mm,
does belief mean to me. So it's a
mm,
beautiful energy to follow on from um,
new
the
moon.
new moon in
Yeah.
Gemini. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful synchronicity, and it's lovely.
And that's on the 11th of June, I think, isn't it?
It is. It's 08:44 in the morning. So yes, it is. And the sun and moon are at 20 degrees 39 minutes.
Okay.
So I think the other thing, I think there's a very interesting what we would call a quincunx, and a quincunx in astrology is a sort of underlying Mm, mm, inside, I'll
Little,
put it that way. But a need to adapt, and it's the quincunx is between Pluto in Aquarius and um, uh, uh, Mercury in is Mercury is at 4 degrees in Cancer. So there's a need. I feel like there's going to be a real need to constantly adapt between the sort of the thoughts of the past, how
mm,
we thought Gemini, that's Mercury in Cancer, and what the future looks like.
mm,
And it's scary.
mm,
To be, it's very scary to step out into this future, which is overwhelmingly challenging to
yeah.
humanity, actually.
Yeah. Yet, though, the future doesn't exist. Nothing exists but this moment. So,
Yes,
for us to find a space where we can make peace with the fact
yes.
that this is an
Mm.
imagined scenario, and that we are still safe within the present moment.
Well, we have to take responsibility for what we put into the zeitgeist
Yeah.
because we are creating the future.
Oh, yes, exactly.
No question
So,
about that.
yeah. So
Absolutely.
not to bring that past and make it into a future, to be able to discern between what the fact or the possibility that things might not be as we thought they were at
Well,
all
I think
times.
it's about taking the best, we never get rid of the past, it walks with us. So
Yeah.
what can we take from the past that's been so positive? Because there's been
Mm.
loads positive in the past, and there's
Oh,
loads
yeah.
positives now, even though
Yeah.
we're living in this chaos. But how
Yeah.
can we take this forward and use it really well
Mm.
with how we manifest what's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I mean is not to bring the past and manifest it into a future. So to take the lessons from there and alchemize it in whatever we
Yeah.
want to make into this future.
Well,
Um,
I think so, but cancer doesn't really like change.
mm,
It wants a
yeah,
safe home. It wants
yeah,
home. It doesn't like it, and if it feels threatened, it sort of it just
yeah, comes back.
goes back. It goes back into its shell and closes down. And
Yeah,
if anybody comes near it,
yeah,
which and understandably, but that isn't necessarily the most helpful way of creating a future. So what is the
yeah,
best we can take from the Cancerian
mm,
energy? Don't forget, Jupiter's going to be at 0 degrees Cancer. So the whole Cancer theme is going to be massively expanded. So Jupiter goes in, I think I've already said this, goes in on the 9th of June into Cancer. So the positive side is the nurturing side, the caring side, the mothering side. And I always love to think of Cancer. She is the mother, but also perhaps the divine mother too, if we want to raise her up into a
yeah,
different level of understanding. But it's about home ancestry? How do we use the knowledge that we're sitting on well,
Yeah.
take it into the future?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all before the sun moves into Cancer. So it's a
Yeah,
lot of Cancerian
absolutely.
energy happening. Yeah.
Jupiter expands everything. Don't
Yeah.
forget it. Jupiter isn't, it expands things. It can be terribly helpful. You think, oh, marvelous, lots of new opportunities coming and all stuff
Yeah.
like that. But it can also expand the negative stuff as well. So
Yeah.
you just have to be a little cautious around the benevolence of Jupiter because it doesn't care. It's just going to expand everything. And don't forget, it's knowledge. Jupiter
Yeah.
carries knowledge and
Yeah.
faith and truth, but it's also can be hugely, it can exaggerate everything. So,
Yeah.
yes, what is the truth? What is home? And I think that's a very interesting one because I often work with that with people who've got Cancer on the ascendant. So
Mm.
in esoteric astrology, those people with Cancer on the ascendant are very home based,
Mm.
family based. But the higher aspect of that is actually understanding that home is it doesn't have walls. It's the universe.
Yeah.
Home is the universe. It's our body. It's our home. It's our community. It's our society. It's it's humanity itself.
Mm.
And we're so closed down with our understand, especially in the Western culture, in our
Yeah.
understanding of what home is.
Yeah.
That
Because it's me, us, and them. It becomes an us and them thing.
absolutely, I
Mm.
protect my home. But that's,
Mm.
if you look at a lot of the I've traveled a lot in the East,
Mm.
and they're so different from us. They're community orientated.
Yeah.
So and so with the ancients, I was talking to somebody at the weekend about the optimum number of
Mm.
of people that make a very productive society or home. And it's
Yeah.
120 people, 120 to 150 people.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
think
also have done number 150.
yeah,
Um,
that it gets unmanageable. And it's
yeah.
true.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, I mean, that's a strong group where you can still have connections, real authentic connections.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking about so I'm just going through what I've got down here. Oh yes, the other thing about this full moon is the full moon is square the nodal axis. Um
Okay.
so it is, yes, it's square. So there's going to be it's almost like destiny is drawn into this full moon. So what is the truth out there?
And see, that's very sad.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you were saying earlier about seeking, when you are, peaceful within yourself, then you don't seek. But for me, as a Sagittarius, sun, um, seeking is curiosity. It's not about having lost something. It's about gaining, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
more.
I've got Sag rising. So you
Yeah.
and I are our lifelong learners.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
There's no
cannot
other
be.
option.
No, it just
Yeah.
there is
Yeah.
no other option. We're just,
Yeah.
what is all of this about?
Yeah. And how do I change my perceptions of it? Which lenses can I use to look
Yeah.
through to see all angles to it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think with this square to the nodal axis, which is the um, Virgo Pisces axis, so
Mm,
it really is about service, I think, as well. That's very much
mm,
that's the axis, but also about um, we have to be very watchful around what sacrifice. Compassion is one thing, but sacrifice is another. And maybe it's a really great opportunity to think, how do I sacrifice myself?
mm.
How do I sacrifice myself in order to feel as if I fit in?
Yeah.
Or do I sacrifice my belief systems? Or what is that for me? So
Mm.
going back to the sort of the bottom line here, it's, what is the truth, and what is the truth about, our destiny,
Yeah.
and what is the collective destiny around this? And I think there's been a lot of sacrifice in
Mm.
the collective. Well, there is, my God, just
There
look at
is.
Gaza and what's happening there, jeeps, and
Yeah, exactly.
and the Russian Ukraine. I mean, Russia has suffered hugely, which we
Mm.
never hear about, obviously.
Oh, yes. And this brings me back to that aspect of yin, that
Yes,
yin is the sacrificial, the I'm sitting within this, holding back, you know, darkness really. There is
yeah,
and darkness isn't bad. I always, feel so
yes,
sad that we've become to think that darkness is bad, but darkness is where the seeds grow and where, all that stuff happens. But yeah, I think the sacrificial part is also a very yin aspect, and to be able to connect to the yang without losing the it's looking at it as a feminine and masculine, without losing the power of the feminine of the yin, is a interesting
yeah,
dance that we are learning. I don't think we've ever, in the Western culture at least, been
not.
able to connect to what that actually means,
Mm.
instead of sacrificing our feminine or that yin aspect to become something that looks productive or the way that it should in our society.
Yeah, and it's the feminine, the true feminine, is immensely powerful but not destructive.
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
is, unless she needs to be. Boy,
Yeah.
then she can stand up.
Yeah.
It isn't about that. And I think I I I find it really sad how we have lost our femininity.
Mm.
And it's
Yeah.
almost like, no, we've now got to go, and let's not get into that because that's a whole bag of things. But yes, but what I
Yeah.
wanted to say, which is I think this is a beautiful example of yin and yang working together.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of the film Ocean.
Mm-mm.
It's okay, so it's about what's happening to our oceans and seas, and it's directed by Toby Nolan,
Yeah.
who's a wonderful young filmmaker, and he's worked with David Attenborough for a very, very long time. But I just feel like this film is about, and it's beautifully archetypally portrayed by this lovely sextile between um, Pluto in Aquarius, the future, and how we're going to go, how we can perhaps use um, futuristic stuff to clean
Mm.
the oceans up. And it's sextile, Neptune, the ocean.
Uh,
And
yeah.
it only came out this month. So
Yeah.
I highly recommend everyone to go and see that. It's torturous at points to watch because of what we're doing to the oceans. And then absolutely miraculous how the oceans bounce back
Yeah.
when they've been given an area of conservation. So it
Yeah.
is, and we need to know what this is going on. And Toby Nolan has done a fantastic job on this.
Well, I'd love to see
So
that.
yeah, I
Actually.
think this is
Yeah.
so it's about how are we going to survive,
Mm.
I think. How do we want to survive? Pluto is about collective survival.
And the human aspect of it, I don't know, I feel very strongly about connecting to the earth instead of trying to control it,
Yeah,
because we have made a mess by trying by thinking that we are superior in some
yeah.
way.
Well, I think, do you know what I feel with the Sagittarius moon making this uh, uh, square to the nodal axis? I feel like there's a sense of freedom, challenging how it's always been done.
Yeah.
Let's break out. That's I put in great big words here.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I've also in according to my calculations that the moon is out of bounds, so she really needs freedom.
Yeah.
Inspiration, she's hugely intuitive, she's very independent. Sagittarius, don't
Mm.
box me in.
Don't tell me what to do.
New ways of thinking, talent for the media.
Mm.
So, but the big thing is always being aware of the exaggerations and misunderstandings that are going on. So,
Yeah.
I'm just going to think we need to move on. Let me just say, yes, I just wanted to say that I just feel like this nodal axis square is it can be viewed as a destiny point. Are we going to say it has, as it always has been, in the details, which is very Virgo on, or are we going to turn towards a future that's full of pioneering visionary three themes
Mm.
around appropriate sacrifice, appropriate
Mm.
for the betterment of the whole?
Oh, that's
So
interesting. That's, yeah,
let
that
yeah.
sounds promising.
Well, let's hope so. I'm just going to go into we'll move on to the new moon here. So, yes, it's an interesting time, isn't it? That gosh,
Yeah.
it's interesting times. It isn't so aggressive and violent at the moment, thank God. Oh, that's not what the moons are suggesting. I just feel
Yeah.
we've got more interesting stuff coming in August, with a huge kite coming, which is going to
Yeah.
be, I don't know. We can talk about that later. Steve
Mm.
Judd and I have already done a video on that. I'll put the link below to that.
Yeah.
The new moon is in lovely Cancer.
Yeah. On the
So
25th, I think.
it's on the 25th at 11:31. So it's obviously ruled by the moon. So the moon's in its own, obviously,
Yeah.
in its own. So it's very powerful moon. And
Mm.
according to my calculations, is still out of bounds. So
Mm.
she wants freedom, but
Yeah.
Cancer wants safety. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see how this manifests in the collective, this
Mm.
incredibly intuitive moon. Certainly the moon's been calling me because I've gone back to the College of Psychic Studies and I'm doing a course in mediumship and psychic
Oh,
development.
amazing.
Yeah, so if
Okay.
any of you are feeling like I want to go and learn about that or
Yeah.
intuition or anything like that, this is the time to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. So it's big home stuff about the homelands.
Mm.
Gosh, I don't know how this is going to play out where all the conflict is.
Mm.
There just doesn't seem a way out of it or any of that at the moment, but I do have faith that somehow we'll find a way out. But I do think safety, um, issues to do with safety are going to come prominent.
Yeah.
What is safety? Because the world has changed so much.
Mm.
It used to be a safe, wouldn't think twice going on a plane to Greece. And
Yeah.
now I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm not so
Yeah.
sure. So the safe, normal
Mm.
world that we had
Yeah.
before COVID is gonzo.
Yeah.
Not.
No.
So we have to recalibrate or re-understand or have a new relationship with what safety means to us.
Oh, that's very interesting because it is something, coming from South Africa, not feeling safe there, now realizing, well, I'm not safe. Yeah, like that is home. So
Yeah.
safety has become I don't know what the right word is, but something that isn't, the home part is more important than the concept of safety because I mean with right-wing parties coming into power all over the place, I don't feel safe around that um, form of segregation in any case. So, you know, do we
No.
go with what the heart tells us and,
Yeah.
be at
And
home?
find your tribe.
Yeah.
And that's not
Yeah.
about closing down on everyone else and the whole world as well, but it
Yeah.
is actually having support
Yeah.
and building a platform of feeling like you can turn to other people who think along the same lines as you. And I do always feel it's so important to follow Buddha's teachings of the middle way, not to
Yeah.
become an extremist. I don't think that's helpful
Mm.
personally. And I understand why people feel like they want to.
Yeah, because of safety, because they don't feel safe.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
tribe, it is about having a place where you are safe to speak your mind, even if we don't think the same, because we are kindred spirits. So we can
Absolutely.
have a sacred space,
Yeah.
where, we hear each other and see each other for who we are.
Yeah. And I think the other thing about this chart, which I find really interesting, is that Uranus is at 29 degrees. So at
Mm,
the full moon earlier in the month, it's at 28 degrees. Now Uranus is at 29, the anaretic degree. So
mm,
who knows what's going to happen, but there could be more financial upheavals. Taurus is about what we own, what we possess, our home, the how we build safety, our values, and Uranus is
yeah.
really strong at 29 degrees. So I'm expecting something to represent that, a theme to come out around about the 25th of June
Okay.
as Uranus moves into Gemini, which is on the 7th July.
Okay.
So I think there's going to be something going on here, a last hurrah. It hasn't had, it hasn't really enjoyed being in Taurus. It's been there for a long time.
Mm,
So wherever Uranus is in your chart at 29 degrees Taurus, take a look because you will experience something sudden or unexpected, maybe to do with the safety that you feel, or how
mm,
you view your income or money markets, or there could be a massive volcanic eruption. I know that's been, that I think I'm right in saying Vesuvius. Is it
yeah.
one of them has just gone up?
Yeah.
It,
I remember
it could
seeing
be
something.
very unstable
Yeah.
across the world on that level.
Mm,
God, let's hope that isn't true. So
yeah.
something's going to, I would imagine something on that line will, as a last hurrah of
Yeah.
Uranus in Taurus,
Okay.
and then it moves into Gemini. Whoa. I think that's when things take off.
Oh, good. Well, in a good way, I hope. Could
Not
be.
it's whatever, but
Yeah.
that's when it's going to go nuts.
Okay.
Uranus in Gemini.
Okay. So we
I
need to
think
look out
that's
for that.
when the all sorts of incredible innovative ideas are going to come to light
Yeah.
and be in the public domain. Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. That's
Yeah.
good.
We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see where it is. I'm out on good or bad because
Yeah.
that polarizes things for me.
Yeah.
So it is the experience. We have to live with that, whatever that experience is brought.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how we
Yeah.
respond to it that matters. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be really interesting. Um, yes, and we've got yes, it's interesting because we've got this quincunx playing out between Pluto in Aquarius, the future, and
Mm,
technology and humanitarian issues and all of that
mm,
playing out, being itsy with the new with this full this with this new moon in Cancer,
yeah.
homelands. So we'll just have to see how that pans out, but. Mm, Yeah, I just think there's an undercurrent of unease.
Which we've gotten kind of used to now.
We're living
It's
with it
it's
every
become the
day.
normal, yeah, or the usual.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
has. It really has, hasn't it? Uh,
Mm,
so let me just have a look and see whether the nodes are. Yes, well, I mean, they're still doing their work in destiny is being drawn into this kind of the visionary and the practical duty,
mm,
how this plays out. Does this, I want to bring back service and sacrifice, what's
mm.
appropriate with service without
Yeah,
sacrificing yourself.
yeah.
I think that needs to be really attention played to that. Um,
Mm,
Pluto is also making a quincunx with um, Mars. So again,
mm,
there's this underlying tension, that, and thank God it isn't that opposition anymore. I think everybody
mm.
felt that
Yeah,
Pluto opposition. It was really, I
it
felt
was. Yeah,
incredibly uncomfortable. But
yeah.
so it isn't like that, but it's residue unease. So just be watchful around that.
Mm,
Um, so let me just see. Yes, Mars is in Virgo. Now, Mars in Virgo is the ultimate planner. It loves a good plan. So, and can be very controlling, very controlling. So that could bring things to the surface as well. So, and we are having, there is this sense of being massively controlled, isn't there?
oh yes. Oh, it is just overwhelming, really, to a point where you just want to run away. From education to, everywhere, you just see this ridiculous control. And we yearn for freedom. Well, I
Yeah.
if we understand freedom anymore, even.
Well, we have, that's a good, that's a very good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I think so. But what is interesting as well is Pluto is opposite Mercury,
Okay.
which is an interesting one. And Mercury is in a Cancer. So, Mercury is highly intuitive in Cancer. I think that's
Yeah.
really interesting. And Pluto, he's the lord of the underworld, isn't he? So,
Mm.
and controlling. So perhaps this is a time where controlling issues, secrets, Pluto, the
Mm.
underworld, are
Mm.
coming up close to home.
Yeah.
So just be aware of conspiracies, being caught up in emotional dramas that maybe you don't need to be part of.
Yeah.
Just pay attention to what you're getting drawn into. Do you really need to get drawn into that? I think this is,
Oh, yeah, that's so true because it is just everything is riding on attention as a currency, and
yeah.
they don't care what you pay, whether it is, yeah,
Yeah. So, and also there is Saturn and Neptune are square the are squaring the new moon and Jupiter.
yeah,
So this is sort of like yeah, maybe there's going to be frustrations, being held back.
mm,
I don't know, there's something, it feels a bit victim martyrish to me,
mm,
or that could play out. So it is about being, how do I take responsibility? I want to go back to the home again with Jupiter there, Jupiter
yeah,
and the new moon, very, very close together.
mm,
And yeah, with this square to this fiery Aries and this Saturn conjunct Neptune, there's something, it's something to do with, I just think there could be aggression.
mm.
Mm, yeah.
It's not something we need anymore, and
No, we
yeah,
don't. Frustrations, aggression,
yeah,
something always to do with the homelands.
yeah,
War, well, Mars is, Mars rules Aries and that's war. So
yeah,
I'm I'm not sure about that. So I'm just going to watch how that manifests. But certainly Uranus at 29 degrees, that could be about going from being very rebellious into being quite a game changer.
okay,
So,
yeah,
it's ongoing, isn't it?
yeah,
We're never ending this cycle of learning and evolution, and this is
yeah,
where we are at the moment in our human evolution. And as
mm,
long as we take long as we pay good attention to it, we don't get sucked under by what's
Yeah.
happening. That can be very um, Neptunian, sucked
Yeah.
under, or
Yeah.
we limit ourselves, limit the visions.
Mm.
That's very much that's the Saturn in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So connecting with that yin, that that standing
Yeah,
and
yeah.
space and silence and just sitting with these things as well. We don't need to be thrown into the hype or the noise.
No, so
Yeah.
trust your intuition. It's
Yeah.
very intuitive.
Yeah.
It's home, definitely, but and maybe pay homage to your ancestors. They've
Yeah.
survived.
Yeah. Well, we're doing this beautiful little book. We do a book every season, and we did Siddhartha last
Oh
season.
yeah.
We're doing the medicine bag.
Oh,
It
lovely.
is such a nice connection to, a little altar and a medicine bag and ritual and,
Yeah.
spirit animals and all these things that I just feel so much in that
Yes.
space of let the world make its noise, but have your safe,
Yeah.
your home space, which is wherever it is. It can be without borders as well.
Well,
Um,
your home space is in here.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
where it
We
is.
have a medicine bag within ourselves that we don't need anything on the outside. But the outside ritual often brings us closer to that inside space. So
Yeah.
that's really special. You
Yeah.
have some big news though.
Oh, I do. Yes, I'm absolutely delighted that Shift Network have invited me to do a 7-week course on
Oh,
astrology and mortality, and it's
that's
called
amazing.
Reconnecting with the Great Cycle of Life and Death. So
Oh,
I'm bringing together my passion for talking about death and dying together with my passion for astrology. So
yeah,
it's going to be launched on September the 7th, and obviously I'll be letting people know more as that time approaches. But
yeah.
I'm terribly excited. So the whole ethos of the 7-week course is to really explore our relationship with mortality with the support of astrology. It is not
Mm,
about teaching astrology. It's not.
mm,
It's about using the wisdom of astrology with lots of different forms of philosophy and teachings, but through that lens of astrology, how we
mm.
can connect more deeply and understand our relationship with our mortality and our personal experience of mortality.
Oh, amazing.
I'm really pleased. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I can't wait. It's really brilliant news, and I'm so happy that you're bringing. I mean, they are the same thing, really. Astrology is telling us where we came from and where we're going, our soul's journey.
Soul's journey, the
Yeah,
collective journey and the individual journey. So I'll be doing a lot of work on that.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm thrilled.
Yeah. Well, Sue, we went over. I'm sorry. There was
Oh,
just
well, never
much
mind.
interest.
But I hope we haven't bored everyone to death.
No, surely not. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
We will catch up again next month and hopefully have some new, exciting things to look forward to and to kind of unpack.
Yeah, see what happens next time.
Yes.